I'm Niklas Pettersson. I'm the co-founder of Instaroom, and what we do essentially is we have built a web-based platform that enables travel companies to launch, train, and build personalization for chatbots across travel websites. And we took this pretty advanced technology and try to put it in a very simple, easy to use kind of package. So actually, that's what I was hoping to talk a little bit about today. And then going through a few slides on what is it that we're currently doing with Visit Somerset, and how does the roadmap look like, and how has the performance been so far. So that's more or less my agenda. So I think, but let's start things off a little bit maybe, and just looking at what is conversational AI, which is essentially what Instagram can provide via its by its platform. And conversational AI, just like John described, it's all about the artificial intelligence being able to automate messages. But what actually enables that is something that's called a NLP, a natural language processor that actually has the ability to read the intent of a message. That's kind of the core of our system, right? So that we can understand what a user wants while they are actually in a conversation. And then once we can pick up that particular intent, once we learn the intent of that message, then we can train in real time how the bot should respond to that particular intent. So that's kind of the baseline of the technology that we provide. But then if we now kind of step away from what is conversational AI and maybe also look at it from a pure business perspective. So why should you actually be focusing on messaging automation, and how does conversational AI add a value to Visit Somerset or any other travel business? Well, obviously it comes back to working more effectively, right? So I think that's the baseline of any type of automation, just being able to do more things in a more efficient manner. And that is, of course, something that conversational AI can do in so many different levels. But it's also about ultimately boosting the customer experience, right? So having the customer or the consumer at a focus and really understanding who the user is, and providing and building a user experience that is optimized for that user. And the bottom line of that, of course, is when applying the technology in the right way, the impact can be huge from so many different perspectives. Some very concrete KPIs that we typically try to look at is, of course, also for example, the average amount of time that a user spent on the website. And by having an interactive element like a chatbot, that time gets extended. And it gives an opportunity for the business to have the visitor staying longer on the website, so you can promote more, you can create a better experience in general during that time. But then, of course, also ultimately it's about driving conversion as well. So being able to provide a better experience ultimately, of course, helps the website or the business to convert more on the website. And that all comes down, just like John emphasized on, around personalization. So, I mean, that's kind of the core package, right? So why you should actually be focusing on this and how that has an impact on your business. If we maybe drill down a little bit now and look at how we're working with Visit Somerset at the moment, some of the results we've seen, and also what's in the pipeline in terms of exciting things ahead. So in terms of bot performance, we see an average at the moment about 300 messages a month, which is quite an interesting number considering we only been live for a few months. And I would describe our existing solution as advanced prototype, where we're still almost in a data collection phase, learning what is it that the user actually are looking for as they enter the Visit Somerset webpage, and how can a bot enhance that experience and provide a more personalized experience, right? So we're very much about collecting that data and building that data warehouse cloud like John described. But we already have tens of thousands of data points around these users, and we're already starting to build very unique profiles so that we can start to actually programmatically build in automations that are targeted to those specific users. So this is a work in progress, and we're seeing some interesting results coming through already. So in average, about 300 conversations a month. But bear in mind, last month in August, we saw a peak of almost 850 conversations. So we're seeing a a fairly good conversion here in the late summer months. And we're excited to continue seeing that growth here over time. Otherwise, another very interesting aspect is when the user actually engage with the chat, and when the user actually is looking to get more information. And we're seeing that the absolute majority, over 60% of all the conversations that are happening are outside office hours. So that means unless there was a bot on the website, the user wouldn't necessarily get the information they're looking for at the time when they were looking for it. So the bot is also enabling Visit Somerset to provide a service, a personalized service, when in fact you're actually not typically available to provide that service. So you can see that what I mentioned, the added benefit from a business side to utilize conversational AI, it's just that being able to provide that personal touch when you typically don't have the resources to do so. And if you look at the automation level, we can actually see the automation just constantly increasing. And in average at the moment, we're looking at a 96% success rate in terms of the automation. So out of those 4,500 conversations we had so far, we can see that the majority, or actually 90% plus of all the conversations have bot replies included in it. So very exciting to see the technology working well there as well. And one or two things I wanted to show as well before I wrap up. We have something, we also looked at the intents of the users. So what that gives us is essentially an overview of what does the Somerset visitor want when they enter the website, when they come into the region in general. And we can see 5 peaks here, basically. One, which is the furthest one on the right, is things to do. So they engage with the bot and they ask, what is there to do at Somerset? And this is very interesting from many, many perspectives, and I will get back to that. But we also see on the far left there, one of the peaks, that's accommodation. So they're looking to get inspiration for where to stay and how to stay and what are the different options in Somerset. And the 3 peaks there in between these two, they are related to activities, events, and yes, activities and events particularly. And then of course you have intents that are subcategorized in relation to these, but I will not focus on those today, so I'm just providing the high level picture. But for me, the conclusion with this data so far is the user, the traveler, is indeed coming to visit Somerset to get inspiration. And that's super exciting. That means that there's so much to do on the personalization side to help to boost that experience and provide a better experience for the user as they enter into the website. So, and with that, also wanted to talk to you a little bit quick about some of the results in just pure numbers. So what does this data we collected so far, what does these automations so far, what is the value that's being created after just these few months where we actually been live with the bot on the website, and again with what I would describe as an advanced prototype? Well, we've seen tens of thousands of pounds already being saved through these automations. So the amount of time that John and his team would have to spend in answering these questions via email, phone calls, and other ways, they are currently now being fully automated by the bot. And so far, only from these months, we have saved over close to 50,000 pounds. And if we look at one of those key intents that we saw in the prior slide, which is accommodations, the revenue opportunities alone from this particular intent is close to 200,000 pounds already. So we're seeing a tremendous potential of activating the chatbot, making it more advanced, understanding who the user is, how we can engage with the user in a more personal way. And the potential is just limitless in terms of how far we can go with this. So very exciting numbers from, again, what I would describe as an advanced prototype and still in a data collection phase. Yeah, very exciting progress from a pretty early stage. And finally, wanted to discuss a little bit then, what are the next steps with the technology? So what do we have in the pipeline? What are me and John and Giles and everybody else currently discussing in terms of how can we drive this technology forward for Visit Somerset? And one of the things, obviously, that you can see from the prior slide as well, is we want to now build an integration to stay lists so that the chat bot can actually project live rates and inventory in the chat, so that the visitor and the person that is engaging with the bot can get concrete recommendations for how they can book their stay in the chat. And it's all happening in real time, etc. And that can be, I think, we can really utilize that potential that we managed to build up now in the past few months, and optimizing that booking journey via the chat. So that's the kind of the next steps. We're hoping to have that solution rolled out here before the end of the year. I'm very much excited to get that work started. And then in parallel with this, we are now building that personalization ability in the system. So enabling anybody to use our system to build concrete user flows depending on who the user is. So it could be, so for example, it's concrete call to action buttons, call to links that are targeted to that specific user. It can be a user persona based on where they're from, can be based on have they visited a website before. We have hundreds of data points that we can build these types of user personas on. And of course, if you're all thinking it, of course, this is from a pure GDPR perspective, this is highly secure, safe data. And we never look at the data from an individual perspective. We build user personas built on big data trends. So that's the reason why we can make this work in a very ethical way as well. And those are kind of the key factors here, but we're also discussing on the side here how we can include a voice component into chatbot, so that visitors that engage with the website can also actually speak and with the bot, and the bot can then pick up the intent from the voice output as well. So that's also something we're discussing in parallel with these two. So very exciting stuff in the pipeline. I believe my time is already over. I was planning on showing you a little bit from our system as well, but maybe I just skip that part for now and leave that for anybody after the session. So you just send me an email and I'll be happy to show you a real live demo of the system, how everything works, work you through the technical details, even if you're a nerd just like me and John when it comes to this part. Yeah, happy to walk you through any questions you have at all. So I leave it at that and open up for any questions or thoughts from so far.
Good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Niklas.